on the Andrea Kaye Show, and I'm pleased to have with me right now Richard Lyons. He's the author of the critically acclaimed, multi-award winning The DNA of Democracy series. Hello, Richard. Welcome to the Andrea Kaye Show.
Oh, great to be with you, Andrea. Good morning.
Thank you. So before we get into some meat, like the fact that the California Democrats at their convention have defied Gavin Newsom and Becerra and voting to back the billionaires tax, I'd like you to speak in general based upon what I just opened with in terms of the threat that we face in this, what I'm calling the Islamo-communist revolution and movement in this country.
Well, I couldn't have put it better than you did, Andrea, but I would put it in historical perspective. For the last 100 years, since the presidency of Woodrow Wilson, socialism has been growing in America. Slowly. Woodrow Wilson famously said that the Bolsheviks in Russia did it wrong. They established socialism through revolution. In America, we'll establish it through evolution, slowly. And they did so through Woodrow Wilson's presidency, DR's presidency, OBJ's presidency, laterally the Obama presidency, where we saw the teeth, the claws and the fangs of socialism when he was attacking political opponents. And that continued against President Trump. And so we're seeing now the full fruition of what the Democrat Party has always been heading for, which is attacking the private marketplace, attacking political opponents, attacking people's faith, taking over the education system of America. These are all symptoms of something that has been growing for 100 years. And it had to come to a point, Andrea, you're exactly right, where we're at a precipice. Either we are going to return to our founding principles, or we are going to be taken to a place we don't want to go, which is the universal prison camp of socialism.
And talked ad nauseum, including yesterday, about how this has been, like you just said, it's been brewing a long time, and the Republican Party didn't really do a good job messaging around it, because free is way yummier on a bumper sticker than individual liberty and individual responsibility and freedom.
Right.
We needed to be continuing to sell that. And now what's being sold is, I've got a clip of Francesca Hong. She is running for Wisconsin governor today. And in addition to her saying crazy stuff like wanting to cancel Thanksgiving and Christmas and every other holiday because she hates this country, ultimately what she and the rest hate is our constitutional republic and everything for which it stands. And here she is talking about taxing the ultra rich. I want you to hear this and then respond.
I learned then you have some hot takes, sometimes bad takes on Twitter, and I let my feelings out into the world. And right now, as governor, what I'm most serious about are the issues that voters are telling me they want solutions for. Permanent affordability, to tax the ultra-rich, to make sure we're getting corruption like he is out of politics, to make sure that we're fully funding public schools, and that we're fighting for universal child care and raising wages.
Your reaction?
Well, I would again put it historically, Andrea, in that the Democratic Party for many years has hidden its socialism. They don't proclaim their socialism. And they've been content to be the parasite on our free market system. And that parasite takes as much from its host while letting it live. These socialists now want to go after everything and destroy the wealth creators in this country, take all their wealth and assume it to government. And so we're finding now that the full-bore socialism is coming to the forefront in persons like the severely uneducated candidate for Wisconsin governor.
Out here in California, you guys, if you're, and by the way, they can say, oh, tax the ultra rich. Well, who does that mean? Because the pied-à-terre tax that Mamdani is trying to implement in New York City, they doxed all the citizens there that were subject to this pied-à-terre tax, and many of them were middle-income people who owned properties that had been handed down generationally, and he has not backed off of that. This is how it starts, by feeding young minds who are hopeless or just have been steeped in the ideology of greed and envy to think, yes, nobody should ever earn $1 billion. Let's just take money from them and give it to somebody else. Out here in California, the delegates at the California Democrat Party convention voted to back Proposition 40, which is a ballot measure that would impose a one-time 5% tax on roughly 200 California billionaires. There's a reason why Gavin Newsom, current governor, and Javier Becerra, who's running for governor, don't want this billionaires tax. First of all, they know that it's not a great thing to try to sell right now going into because of donors. They're not going to be able to get as much money from donors if these same donors are going to be gouged down the road. And number two, Gavin Newsom is smart enough to know that all this is going to do is drive these billionaires out of the state, right?
Oh, exactly. And the point is, Andrea, has there ever been a temporary or one-time tax that didn't was there ever a target of a tax that didn't expand and move down? You just talked about Mamdani's New York, and you're exactly right. Generationally, some persons own buildings that are now worth over $1 million or $5 million in New York because their families have been there, and that has been their main investment. And now Mamdani seeks to just throw open the doors to confiscation of property. When our whole system in America is built on common law and property rights. So this is utterly contrary to our founding principles.
So how do we get the young people who have been coming out of these indoctrination centers called schools, who are little socialist soldiers for the state? We haven't been messaging properly around this. What should the Republican Party be doing right now in order to at least begin to try to educate the American people on it? Because it seems like what they say right now is communism results in empty shelves, but they don't really explain why. How should everybody be messaging around this?
In the second book of my series, Shadows of the Acropolis, I put two pages together, Andrew. On the left side of the page 380 are all the traits of liberty, the traits of constitutional government and the rule of law. On the right side, on page 381, I detailed the DNA traits of tyranny and how they are diametrically opposed to those of liberty. And in those two pages, I encapsulate the difference. And if your listeners can go to thednaofdemocracy.com and download the first volume for free, it's an education in the difference between how we were founded and what these socialists propose.
Tell everybody again one last time how they can get that, because that's absolutely a must.
It's thednaofdemocracy.com, and the first volume, The DNA of Democracy, is downloadable in audio or in digital for free.
Thank you so much for being here, Richard Lyons. Appreciate all you do to fight for democracy.
Oh, thank you. And to you, Andrea.
All right. Take good care.